Shalom. All praises, all power, all glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rakah, Kwadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who teach one rule well, who taught me this truth. Peace and salutation to the Akyam, the fellow laborers, the hopeful elect, pushing this truth of risk of their own lives throughout the four corners of earth. And to the Akwath listening and learning in sincerity and in truth and in silence, Shalom. It's your brother Shema from the GMS Toronto camp here in Toronto here with another lesson. Right? We'll get right into it. We'll see where the spirit takes us. But this article here from the Wall Street Journal. America let its military industrial might wither. China's is booming. Right? And it's from May 29th, 2025. Right? The hopeful year of Jacob's deliverance and the destruction of Esau Edom. Right? And America, Babylon the Great, scriptures say, let the weak say I'm strong. All right, let's see if we can get that real quick. All right, but we're witnessing the downfall, the beginning of the downfall of America the Great. Where's that scripture? Joel 2. So Joel 3. Joel 3 and 9. Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles. Prepare war. Wake up the mighty men, right? The Gentiles, other nations. The Lord's putting the spirit of war on all these nations, right? Ultimately leading to the World War III, right? But what we're seeing is proxy wars, psyops, false flags, right? All with the agenda of full-blown World War III. Right? But prior to that, the time of Jacob's trouble, a time like never before. Right? We're in the beginning stages of Jacob's trouble. Right? Where all hell's going to break loose. Right? And the MOTB will be mandated worldwide before World War III. Right? So what we're seeing is the prequel, the beginnings. Joel 3 and 9. Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles. Prepare war. Wake up the mighty men. Right, the mighty men, the militaries, they're being mobilized. Right, proxy wars are being fought. Genocides are taking place. Drones are striking. Right, actors are acting. Right, these politicians, these leaders. You know, this Zelensky character. He's an actor. Let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Right? And historically, nations, how they get ready for war, they exploit the populace, their citizens. Right, beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Right, plowshares. You go into this word plowshares. It's I believe it's farmers. Let me just Joel 3 and 10. Let's go into this word plowshares. Strong's H 855.
Strong's H 855. Eighth.
Plowshare. of uncertain derivation, a hoe or other digging implement, coulter, plowshare, right? So farming tools, right? So historically, nations, they look at the Cold War. There's documentation of Russia starving their citizens to finance their war machine, get war ready, right? Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say I'm strong, right? And also they draft from their citizens, right? Let the weak say I'm strong, right? So these other nations going into this article, right? They're now saying they're strong. Let's read. Adapting to the dual challenge of China's military and its economy has been a focus of U.S. administrations for years. America is losing ground. Modern warfare is a contest of industrial might. As Russia's invasion of Ukraine has shown, both sides are burning through arsenals of artillery shells, rockets, and military vehicles. Automated factories now spit out drones day and night. Even an old-fashioned howitzer requires precision manufacturing. The U.S. won World War II in part by producing more of everything from bullets to food than its enemies. One California shipyard in 1942 assembled a supply ship in less than 5 days. America is no longer capable of that kind of manufacturing feat, right? And you hear this, you hear Nero DT-45, right? Saying he wants to bring manufacturing and jobs back to America, right? But listen, that's a process. That doesn't happen overnight. To bring manufacturing jobs back and big industrial back to America the Great, where everything's in-house, that's a decade plus, 15 years, right? It's not happening, man. Right? We're going into the age of automation, right? Where everything has to be, where industries are gonna tweak and change. Today, the country that can make the most of almost everything is China. Its products run the gamut from basic chemicals to advanced machinery. With tensions rising between the U.S. and China, the two countries' industrial capacity is coming into focus as a key battleground in any conflict, right? And all these nations, right? Scripture say, "These shall hate the war," right? These nations are going to align themselves with one another, right? The North country being the big brother, Russia, and these nations are going to attach themselves and align themselves, right? Let's get it. Ezekiel, is it 38? Ezekiel 38 and 1. And the word of the Lord Yahweh came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and prophesy against him. Right? And you look at this word chief prince, chief being Rosh, prince being Shar, right? Russia. And say, and we know Gog and Magog, right? Salakia, Gog, the land of Magog, right? That landmass today is Russia, right? And say, thus saith the Lord, power, behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, right? The Lord's turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws. The Lord is bringing that Cold War spirit back onto Russia, right? That I was reading an article the day before yesterday. Russia subways have put up a mural. Let me see if I can find it. Of Stalin. Let me see if I can find it. Khan, I found it. But it says here from the New York Times, Stalin's image returns to Moscow subway, honoring a brutal history. The Kremlin has increasingly embraced the Soviet dictator and his legacy, using them to exalt Russian history in a time of war but he remains a deeply divisive figure in Russia, right? So this is just to land back, right? Hooks into thy jaws. I will put hooks into thy jaws, right? The Lord is returning that spirit, putting that spirit back onto Russia. A new statue of Joseph Stalin in a Moscow metro station reflects Russia's efforts to rehabilitate the memory of a bloody ruler. You see that? Right? That's the hooks into thy jaws. The Lord, listen, prophecy's undefeated, man. Ezekiel 38:4, and I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws. Right? The Lord's bringing that spirit back into Russia. And I'll bring thee forth, and all thine army, horses and horsemen, right? They're military, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords, right? They're military, they're might. Persia, Ethiopia, and Libya with them, all of them with shield and helmet, right? Persia is Iran, Ethiopia, Ethiops, Kush, right? These are all going to be the allies of America the Great, Salakia, of Russia. Gomer and all his bands, the house of Togomar, right, Turkey, of the north quarters, and all his bands, and many people with thee. Be thou prepared, and prepare for thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them, right? So Russia's going to be the big bro, right? Guard unto them, right? But back in this subject matter, right? These nations are seeing the weakness of America the Great, Babylon the Great, right? Let me see this right here. Obadiah, right? And this is the Spirit of the Lord. I want to hold that. I want to read a little bit more on this right here. Today, the country that can make the most of almost everything is China. Its products run the gamut from basic chemicals to advanced machinery. With tensions rising between the U.S. and China, the two countries' industrial capacity is coming into focus as a key battleground in any conflict. China's economic growth has allowed it to build a military that rivals the U.S. A single Chinese shipbuilder last year produced more commercial ships by tonnage than the entire U.S. shipbuilding industry has made since World War II. According to the Center for Strategic and International Studies, a Washington think tank, the scale of China's commercial shipbuilding subsidizes its production of naval vessels, and in a war, capacity could be shifted from freighters to warships, right? And we witnessed that in during the Serpent Piss, the Emek, right? An example was the premier up here was saying we need all industries to assembly line, PPE, face masks and all that shit, and what do you call it? Hand sanitizer. So, what does that mean? A factory that manufactures tiles, they're now converting to wartime measures to make bullets or drones, right? So the turnaround time for China is quick, easy, soft. It says here, since 2000, China has built more than twice as many naval vessels as the U.S., according to defense intelligence company Janes. China's Air Force and Navy are closing the gap with the U.S., though many American platforms are considered more advanced than their Chinese counterparts. And that's enough on that. We get the gist, right? The separation is closing, and that's all the will of the Lord, you know. And you know Babylonians, they proud, right? They think they got the greatest show on earth, right? But that's their pride, right? The scriptures say, "These shall hate the whore." Since I quoted it twice. That's a staple scripture. Revelation 17 and 16. And it reads, and the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, the 10 horns, right? NATO, the EU. The 10 horns is symbolic of the European Union, right? The beast, NATO, the EU, America, right? And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, right? The whore being America, right? And shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire, right? And this is the end game, man, right? There's going to be a fallout, NATO nations, amongst the NATO nation, amongst EU, right? Turkey is a EU nation, man, a NATO nation, a EU nation, right? Turkey's a member of the European Union, right? So there's going to be a fallout. I was holding I wanted to get this because Babylonians are proud. Psalms 49 and 11, beginning with their elites. Their inward thought is that their houses shall continue forever, right? And that's the mind, the mind of these elites, and it trickles down to their citizens, right? Their houses shall continue forever, and their dwelling places to all generations. They call their lands after their own names, right? And that's their pride. They think, right? Their shit don't stink. Obadiah 1, verse 3, the pride of thine heart hath deceived thee, thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock, whose habitation is high, that saith in his heart being mine, who shall bring me down to the ground, right? And that's their pride, man, right? Esau, Edom, the hub city being America, right? America, spiritual Basra, spiritual Egypt, spiritual Sodom, right? The hub city of the Edomites is America, right? And the Edomites are proud. Americans are proud. Verse 4, though thou shalt exalt thyself as the eagle, right? High. You're high up there. You're lofty. And though thou set thy nest among the stars, right? Beginning with their space program, their quote unquote so-called trip to the moon, right? There are satellites up there in the upper atmosphere, right? They're among up there looking down, surveillance, right? Nest among the stars. Thence will I bring thee down, saith the Lord Yahweh, right? The Lord beginning, once America, quote unquote, got up into the atmosphere and broadcasted a TV show of a landing on the moon, that was the beginning of their fall, right? Late 60s, early 70s. That was also synonymous with this truth beginning to go out, right? But yeah, the demise is real, man, and we're seeing it as watchmen, and we're rejoicing. So with that, call Allah Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai Bahashem Rakha Quadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who teach one rule well. Shalom to the elect.